Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Tadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada Shiva.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya
Jaya
Prabhupada, Jaya
Jaya
Prabhupada,
Prabhupada Jaya
Prabhupada
Prabhupada
Shiva.
Jaya Prabhupada.
Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Pariprajakacharya Stotra Sata Sri Srimat Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
अशी आमची शाळा असते
Jayam
अशी
Vishnupad
पक्ष शाळा
Paramahansa
भरली
Pariprajakacharya
आता आमच्या
Stotra
शाळेमध्ये जसे विषय तसे पक्ष
Srimad
प्राण्यांच्या शाळेत
Bhakti
सुद्धा
Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai.
Jai
Ganga Mai Ki Jai.
Jai
Tulsi Devi Ki Jai.
Jai
Bhakti Devi Ki Jai.
Jai
Samveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai.
Jai
Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari
Hari
Bol.
Hari Bol.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare
All
Krishna
glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare
All
Krishna.
glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga.
Jai Shri
All
Shri Guru
glories to
Gauranga
Srila Prabhupada.
Prabhupada.
So we shall read from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 9. Prahlada pacifies the Lord with prayers. Text 28. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Evam janam nipatitam prabhavahi kupe kama bhikamam anuya prapatan prasangat kritvat masat surasina bhagavan gritita soham katam nu visaje tava britya sevam. Evam janam nipatitam Evam janam nipatitam prabhavahi kupe kama bhikamam anuya prapatan prasangat kritvat masat surasina bhagavan grahita soham katam nu vishaje tava britya sevam. Evam, thus. Janam, people in general. Nipatitam, fallen. Prabhava, of material existence. Ahikupe, in a blind well full of snakes. Kama, abhikamam, desiring the sense objects. Anu, following. Ya, the person who. Prapatan, falling down in this condition. Prasangat, because of bad association or increased association with material desires. Kritva atmasat, causing me to acquire spiritual qualities like himself, Sri Narada. Sura Rishina, by the great saintly person Narada. Bhagavan, O my Lord, Grihita, accepted. Sa, that person. Aham, I. Katam, how. Nu, indeed. Vishrije, can give up. Tava, your. Britya Sevam, the service of your pure devotee. Translation. My dear Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, because of my association with material desires, one after another, I was gradually falling into a blind well full of snakes, following the general populace. But your servant Narada Muni kindly accepted me as his disciple and instructed me how to achieve this transcendental position. Therefore, my first duty is to serve him. How could I leave his service? Purport by Srila Prabhupada. As will be seen in later verses, even though Prahlada Maharaj was directly offered all the benedictions he might have desired, he refused to accept such offerings from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. On the contrary, he asked the Lord to engage him in the service of his servant, Narada Muni. This is the symptom of a pure devotee. One should serve the spiritual master first. It is not that one should bypass the spiritual master and desire to serve the Supreme Lord. This is not the principle for a Vaishnava. So I will speak as I read the purport. But once in Mayapur, on a morning walk, Srila Prabhupada and the disciples came to an embankment. And so Prabhupada's disciple, Bhavananda, climbed up on the embankment and held out his hand to catch Srila Prabhupada and help him to reach the top of the embankment. And when Srila Prabhupada reached the top, he immediately withdrew his hand from Bhavananda Prabhu's and just walked ahead, completely ignoring him. And then Srila Prabhupada explained why he had done that, to give an instruction or a lesson. And he said, this is the attitude of the Mayavadis, the impersonalists. They take help from the guru to become God, presumably. And then when they become God, they have no use for the guru. So this is the opposite, obviously, of the Vaishnava principle, which is that we are eternal servants of the guru, life after life. As Narottam Das Thakur says, Chakudan dilo ye, janme janme Prabhu se. My spiritual master who gave me a spiritual vision is my master, birth after birth, life after life. So this is an eternal relationship. It's not that we have a relationship, I'll speak as a disciple of Srila Prabhupada. It's not that we have a relationship with Srila Prabhupada until we get to Krishna, and then we have no use for Srila Prabhupada. But we are eternally the servant of the servant of the servant. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Gopi Bhartu Padakamalayar Das 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 Anudas. So even in the spiritual world, there's parampara. We don't serve Krishna directly. I mean, the service is direct in a way, but we serve Krishna under guidance, just as here. And so that principle of Gopi Bhartu Padakamalayar Dasa Das Anudas it begins here in the material world and it continues even in the spiritual world. So, one should serve the spiritual master first. It is not that one should bypass the spiritual master and desire to serve the Supreme Lord. This is not the principle for a Vaishnav. Narottam Das Thakur says, Tandera Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanevas Janame Janame Hai E Abhilas. One should not be anxious to offer direct service to the Lord. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advised that one become a servant of the servant of the servant of the Lord. Gopi Bharat, and everything that exists in the material world also exists in the spiritual world. So once, soon after Srila Prabhupada left, I asked Prabhupada's Sanskrit editor, Pradumya, whom Srila Prabhupada affectionately called Panditji. I asked him that, okay, everything exists originally in the spiritual world, so we have pride in the material world. What is the pride in the spiritual world? And Pradumya Prabhu replied that the pride of the devotee in the spiritual world is that he is the das anudas. He is the last one in the line. He is the servant of all the other servants. And that is his pride, that he has the most masters, because he's the lowest servant of everyone. And that is his pride, and he has the most masters. So Srila Prabhupada told us to address each other as Prabhu. Prabhu means master, which means that we are the servants. And that is our position. Gopi Bhartu Padakamalayar Dasa Dasa Anudasa. But when we address each other as Prabhu, meaning master, we should actually mean it. As Srila Prabhupada remarked, we shouldn't say, oh, Prabhu, please bring me my slippers. That's not the meaning of Prabhu. Prabhu is master and we are servant. And when I first joined the Boston Temple, I was told that Srila Prabhupada said, if any devotee asks us to do service, we should accept. And if any devotee offers to do service to us, we should refuse, because we are the servants. So yes, if someone asks for service, yes, Prabhu, I'm your servant. I will do what you want. But if a devotee offers to do service for us, no, Prabhu, you are my master. I can't take service from you. Of course, practically, we are all engaged in service to Krishna through parampara. And in that sense, not in a personal sense, but only in terms of serving the Guru Parampara and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we may accept service, but not for ourselves. Once I asked Srila Prabhupada about, you could say, breaking a regulative principle or a matter of etiquette for the service of the Lord. And Srila Prabhupada gave the example of Govinda Das, who was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's personal servant. So it was Govinda's service that every day after Mahaprabhu honored prasad, had lunch, Govinda Das would massage the Lord's feet. So one day it so happened that after lunch, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lay down just at the doorway to the room. And there was no way to get in or go out other than stepping over the body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which ordinarily would be considered an offense. So Govinda Das stepped over Mahaprabhu's body to come in the room and give him his massage. And then when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu woke up, he saw Govinda Das there. And he asked him, oh, Govinda Das, have you had prasad? And Govinda Das said, no, my lord, because you were lying on in the doorway, and I couldn't leave the room without stepping over you. Oh, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, well, but how did you get into the room? You must have stepped over me. And Govinda Das said, yes, I could step over you for your service, but I couldn't step over you for my sense gratification. So, so that's, yes, for the sake of service, we might, you could say, bend a rule, but not for the sake of sense gratification. So, we come back to the purport. One should not be anxious to offer direct service to the Lord. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advised that one become a servant of the servant of the servant of the Lord. Gopi Bhartu Padakamalayur Dasa Dasa Anudasa. This is the process for approaching the Supreme Lord. This is parampara. In other words, this is parampara. We serve, again, speaking as a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, I serve him. He serves his spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He serves his spiritual master, Srila Gaura Das Babaji Maharaj. He serves his spiritual master, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And in this way, we are the servant of the servant of the servant. That is parampara system. We offer service through parampara system. And similarly, the knowledge of the Absolute comes to us also through the parampara system, from Krishna to Brahma to Narada to Vyas, and so on. So this parampara is such an integral part of bhakti yoga, of the process of Krishna consciousness. And we should never try to surpass the parampara. Oh yes. This is the process for approaching the Supreme Lord. The first service should be rendered to the spiritual master so that by his mercy, one can approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead to render service. While teaching Rupa Goswami, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. One can achieve the seed of devotional service by the mercy of the Guru, the spiritual master, and then by the mercy of Krishna. Guru Krishna Prasade. Guru Krishna, the mercy of Guru and Krishna, but the mercy of Guru comes first and the mercy of Krishna follows. One can achieve the seed of devotional service by the mercy of the Guru, the spiritual master, and then by the mercy of Krishna. This is the secret of success. First, one should try to please the spiritual master, and then one should attempt to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Or, in other words, by pleasing the spiritual master, one pleases the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But it is also true that by the mercy and pleasure of the spiritual master, one will eventually have the opportunity to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead directly. First, one should try to please the spiritual master, and then one should attempt to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also says, Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado. In other words, by the mercy of the spiritual master, one gets the mercy of the Lord. One should not attempt to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead by concoction. In other words, one should serve according to the directions of the Guru. Now this verse and purport, and specifically this sentence, was very significant for me at a certain stage of my devotional service, when somehow or other I got a little deviated from Srila Prabhupada's line. I thought that I was getting knowledge that would help me in Krishna consciousness, but the help I was getting was a little different from Srila Prabhupada's mood and emphasis. And the result was disastrous. The result was disastrous. So reading this verse and purport, and specifically this line, one should not attempt to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead by concoction. I realized that's what I had done. And I regretted it, and it was a chastening experience, and I hope and pray that I will never do it again. I hope I won't. I think I won't. We have to be very strict followers of parampara. One should not attempt to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead by concoction. One must first be prepared to serve the spiritual master. And when one is qualified, he is automatically offered the platform of direct service to the Lord. Therefore, Prahlada Maharaj proposed that he engage in the service of Narada Muni, his spiritual master. He never proposed that he engage directly in the service of the Lord. Now here, Prahlada Maharaj is addressing the Lord directly. He's face to face with the Lord. But still, he's remembering his spiritual master by whose grace he had the opportunity to see the Lord face to face. And although the Lord offered him so many benedictions, which he refused, Prahlad prayed for this benediction, that he always engage as the servant of his spiritual master, Narada Muni. Prahlada Maharaj proposed that he engage in the service of Narada Muni. He never proposed that he engage directly in the service of the Lord. This is the right conclusion. Therefore, he said, Soham katam nu visraje tavabritya sevam. How can I give up the service of my spiritual master, who has favored me in such a way that I am now able to see you face to face? Prahlada Maharaj prayed to the Lord that he might continue to engage in the service of his spiritual master, Narada Muni. So, yes, our relationship with our spiritual master is eternal. Of course, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur does explain a slight condition. He says that in principle, the relationship between the spiritual master and disciple is eternal. But if the disciple willfully breaks that relationship, then it is no longer eternal. But this also raises a question: what does it mean to, willfully break the relationship? Srila Prabhupada has, on numerous occasions, mentioned that the spiritual master will come back to the material world to deliver his disciples who do not make it back to Godhead in the same lifetime. This is an extraordinarily gracious and generous proposition. But it's true that once Srila Prabhupada said that if the disciple willfully breaks the contract with the spiritual master, then the spiritual master is not obliged to come back. But under ordinary circumstances, he will come back. Now, this also raised some interesting questions. After Srila Prabhupada left, some disciples went across the river from Mayapur to Navadvip to consult Srila Prabhupada's esteemed god brother, Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj. And so my good friend and older god brother, Tamal Krishna Goswami, wanted to meet him and clarify some points with him, and he invited me to come with him. So I went. There was a small group, maybe 4 or 5 of us. And Tamal Krishna Goswami brought up the point of the spiritual master coming back for the disciple. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj said, well, it doesn't mean that he has to come back personally, but he will make sure that his disciples get the guidance they need in order to complete their journey back home, back to Godhead. Now, at that time, Tamal Krishna Goswami, and I would say all of us, were really attached to the idea that it should be Srila Prabhupada and no one else. So Tamal Krishna Goswami sort of pressed Sridhar Maharaj. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj envisioned a conversation between Krishna and Srila Prabhupada in the spiritual world. And in that conversation, Srila Prabhupada says to Krishna that my disciples are calling for me to help them. And Krishna says, oh, that's all right. You don't have to go personally. I will arrange for some devotee or devotees to guide them. And then Srila Prabhupada said, but they won't accept anyone else. They want only me. And then Krishna said, all right, if they want only you, and if you're prepared to go, then all right, then you go. So this is the, it's a beautiful eternal relationship. But we should try, of course, to finish up our business in this lifetime so the spiritual master doesn't have to come back again. Now there's a story of, story means history, of Bilva Mangal Thakur. Bilva Mangal Thakur was, born in an aristocratic Brahmin family, but he had a weakness. Although in his previous life he was very advanced, to the stage of Baba, but he had a weakness. And he became attached to a prostitute named Chintamani. So he was so attached to this prostitute that on the night of his father's death, he was encouraging the priest, hurry up, finish, because he wanted to be done with the rituals for his father so he could go and meet the prostitute. So eventually the rituals were completed. It was night, it was very stormy, and to get to the prostitute's residence, he had to cross the river, raging river in the storm. But he did. He grabbed hold of a log, and with the help of the log, he made it across the river. And then eventually he came to the prostitute's home, but the gate was locked. There was a big wall around it. And he shouted, but she didn't hear him. I don't think they had doorbells back then. And so he found a dead snake and he used the dead snake as a rope to climb over the wall. And eventually he came, the prostitute let him in. And she said, it was so late and it was storming. So I thought you weren't coming. So I locked everything. And then she said, if you had as much attachment for Krishna as you have for me, it would be much better for you. And those words of the prostitute Chintamani entered Bilvamangal Thakur's heart. And he thought, yes, it's true. And at that moment, he decided to leave the prostitute and head to Vrindavan. It's a long story, but on the way to Vrindavan, because he had that weakness. So on the way to Vrindavan, he started to follow a beautiful Brahmani. And he followed her to her home. And her husband, so she told her husband, this man has been following me. So the husband asked Bilvamangal Thakur, what do you want to do? What is your intention? What is your purpose? He said, I want to enjoy with your wife. So the husband was so liberal, he said, okay, you can enjoy with my wife. So then, they went into a room, and then Bilvamangal asked the wife, can you please give me your hairpins? So she gave him her hairpins. And with those hairpins, he plucked out his eyes. He said, these eyes are my enemies. Because of these eyes, I am attracted to the form of women. So he became blind. And on the way to Vrindavan, Krishna came and took him by the hand. Krishna said, where are you going? So I'm going to Vrindavan. And the boy said, oh, I'm going to Vrindavan too. You're blind, so I'll help you. You take my hand. And Krishna personally escorted him to Vrindavan. And then when they reached Vrindavan, Krishna took his hand out of Bilvamangal's hand and said, I have to leave now. You've reached Vrindavan safely. I have to leave now. And by then, Bilvamangal Thakur had understood that boy was Krishna. And he said, all right, well, you can take your hand out of my hand, but you cannot take yourself out of my heart. So that's the story of Bilvamangal Thakur, part of the story. But coming back to the point of the spiritual master coming back, that it is said that Bilvamangal Thakur's spiritual master from his previous life entered the mind of the prostitute Chintamani and gave the instruction to Bilvamangal Thakur that if you had as much attachment for Krishna as you had for the prostitute, it would be better for you. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has related this story and added his purport to his disciples that don't make me come back as a prostitute, or don't make me have to come back into a brothel to deliver you. Finish up your business in this lifetime. So that obviously should be our effort. It should be our intention, and it's possible. I mean, that's what Srila Prabhupada wanted. And there's a very, interesting fact that Srila Prabhupada revealed. And that is that Krishna wants us to, finish up in this lifetime and go back to Godhead at the end of this lifetime. And that if Krishna sees that we're not ready to go back to Godhead when the natural time of death comes, he can extend our lifetime. He can give us extra time so that we can finish up in this very lifetime and go back home, back to Godhead. So we're being helped on all sides, Guru Krishna, Prasadi Pai, by Guru and Krishna. But first Guru. First comes Guru's mercy, then Krishna's mercy. And first comes Guru's service, then comes Krishna's service. And even serving Krishna, we serve under the guidance of the Guru, not independently, not by concoction, but always under guidance. So this is wonderful. Our relationship with Srila Prabhupada is eternal. And that means that our relationships with each other are eternal. Because if we all have eternal relationships with Srila Prabhupada and we're all servants of Srila Prabhupada, then we are all also eternally related. And Srila Prabhupada had a disciple named Upendra who asked him about our relationships with each other, with our God brothers and God sisters, whether they continue. And Srila Prabhupada wrote back that yes, they do. Because Chakudandi lo ye janme janme Prabhu say. So you are all serving me life after life. So you'll be serving with each other life after life. So we should like each other. We should get to like each other because we may be with each other for a very long time. So, and we will like each other if we treat each other as Prabhu, as servants. I was a psychology major in the university, Brandeis in Boston. In fact, that's where I first saw Srila Prabhupada. He came and gave a talk at Brandeis University, just outside Boston. So, that was an amazing program. And after the program, anyway, that would be a whole other story. And I think that on Saturday, Vanamali Pandit Prabhu might have played the recording of my story of how I, first met Srila Prabhupada at Brandeis and then surrendered to him. So I don't know exactly how I ended up where I am now or where I was going, but maybe that's okay because we've been speaking for an hour or a little more. But yeah, it's been a pleasure to be with all of you and to have this opportunity to speak about Srila Prabhupada and Krishna consciousness. So thank you very much. And I would say now, if any of you have any questions or comments, we can open up the floor. I guess you can
Maharaj?
raise raise your hands if you want
Maharaj?
to speak, or maybe send a message on the chat. But I like
Maharaj,
hand
can you
raising.
hear me?
I like to see the people who are speaking.
Maharaj, can you hear me? Maharaj, can you hear me? Maharaj, can you hear me?
I thought, maybe he wasn't raising his hand.
I think Maharaj cannot hear us, so we can do chat actually. So you can ask questions in the chat.
Yes. He cannot hear us.
Well, if there are no questions or comments, then I could read a little. I have this set of books, collected lectures on Srimad Bhagavatam. And, oh wait, Vanamali Pandit is phoning. Hare Krishna? Oh, really? Oh.
Maharaj?
Okay. Can you have, is Bhaktidas here?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'll have my technical expert. Thanks. He says that they want to speak, they have questions, but I'm not hearing them.
Can you hear me now?
Well, Preeti Radhika, you're unmuted. Do you
Yes,
have,
Maharaj.
do you want
Can
to
you-
say, see, I'm not hearing.
Yeah, I'm saying, but yeah.
What do we do?
Check the audio on here.
Mm.
You mean this?
Yeah.
Maharaj, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, now we're okay.
Yes, I have a question, if I may.
Yes, please.
Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai.
Maharaj, this morning, your god sister Malati Devidasi,
Yes.
she gave a Zoom class for the Boston congregation on the same verse.
Very good. Great minds think alike.
Yes, and Maharaj, I asked Malati Devidasi a few questions in connection with the verse.
Yes.
And to summarize it, her answer, the answer that make me think the most was that if a human being doesn't accept a spiritual master, then the future of his life will not be very bright.
That's true.
Okay, so my question to you is the following. Maybe you have a different understanding, but is it that Malati Devidasi, and I didn't have time to ask her about this, when an advanced devotee says that if a human being doesn't accept a spiritual master, then his future or her future will not be very bright, is it that the meaning of this sentence is that the future of this human being will be no better than animal life?
Yes.
But Maharaj, we have a problem here. Are you when you say yes, when you answer my question with yes, are you saying that unless a human being, it doesn't matter what varna he is in, Shudra, Vaishya, Kshatriya, or Brahmana, if a human being doesn't accept a spiritual master, well, let me rephrase it. If a human being, unless a human being accepts a spiritual master, is it that he is no better than an animal?
Well, I was going to say yes, and I was going to cite a verse or line from Hitopadesh, Dharmena hina pasubhi samana, that without dharma, dharmena hina, without dharma, pasubhi samana, one is the same as an animal. One is on the same level as an animal. But one can, as you know, there are shiksha gurus and diksha gurus. And although the process involves taking diksha, it's an essential part of the process. But if one takes shiksha and follows, good instructions, one can, one can lead a human life. It won't be the perfection of human life, but it will be a human life based on dharma. And so I wouldn't say that person will necessarily fall down into animal life. As the Bhagavad Gita says, swapya alpadharmasya mahate mahatobayat, that even a little advancement on the path will save one from the most dangerous fear. And that most dangerous fear is to descend into lower species of life. So if one makes even a little advancement on the path, which would require superior guidance, no doubt, it would require someone acting as a sort of shiksha guru. So one can get the chance to continue in the next life, even if one is not initiated. I mean, that would be my perspective.
Yes,
Vijay Krishna Prabhu.
Yes,
Vijay
Maharaj,
Krishna.
thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, Vijay Krishna Prabhu, may I request you that please allow other devotees also to ask questions?
Yes, of course.
Thank you. Thank you. So we open the floor for all the devotees. Please ask your questions. I know many devotees are waiting, so please go ahead and ask one by one questions. Thank you, Vijay Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, you're welcome.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
So Maharaj, we are seeing that in Srimad Bhagavatam there are so many devotees having such a beautiful prayers, Gajendra, Prahlada Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj. having face-to-face interaction with the Lord. So in sadhana bhakta stage, when we, like, particularly I'm asking about me, we go in front of Lord, we forget to pray, and we don't know, like, we are just neophyte in prayers, and actually we don't know it. Like, we, over the period of time also, we never practice praying to the Lord. So I want to learn the prayers, actually, how we can uh, go with the prayers, because we ask something and sometimes we forget to uh, express the gratitude towards the Lords. And how should we mature in our prayers, actually? Sometimes our prayers are materialistic many times. So how we should progress in our prayers in front of Lord?
Yeah, there's two aspects to your question, the form of the prayer and the substance of the prayer. As far as the form, Srila Prabhupada said that first you should praise the qualities of the deity, then you should state your own disqualification, and then you should pray for mercy. And I think of, there are a number of prayers, especially by Narottam Das Thakur, in which he follows that formula, I think of one, Haha Prabhu Nityananda Premananda Sukhi. My Lord Nityananda, you are always full in transcendental bliss. Ami Boroduki, I am very unhappy, so please be merciful to me. Or Patit Pavan Prabhu Hetu Avatar, you are known as the deliverer of the fallen. Mosamo Patita Prabhu, I am the most fallen, so please save me first. As far as the content, well, it's not, so you say that sometimes you pray for material things.
We confuse what to pray first of all in front of Lord, because that might be a casual approach every day, greeting the deities over the period of time. So we forget to pray also sometimes. Yeah. And some material thing, like we are praying for COVID-19 people, those who are suffering for them, but we don't know exactly the sequence, but you nicely explained that we should express our inability and we should pray to Lord. That is nice, actually, for me.
Yeah. Devotee, pure devotee, basically prays for service. That's his only prayer. Just like Prahlada Maharaj here, he's just praying to serve his spiritual master, Narada Muni. So we should pray for service, because that will make us happy. Nothing else will really make us happy outside devotional service. So I would suggest, and it looks like you have a set of Srimad Bhagavatam behind you. So I would suggest you read Srila Prabhupada's books, and by reading his books, you'll get an idea of, who you are and what your best interest is, and then you'll pray for what's really in your best interest, which is devotional service.
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Are there other?
I have one more question, please.
It's fine with me.
Vinod Prabhu, I do not want to remove the opportunity from other devotees. Please check if there is anyone else to ask.
Oh, yeah. So let us wait and see if anyone has any questions first. and then you can ask your questions. Is that okay, Prabhu?
Yes, of
Omkar
course.
Prabhu
Always.
Omkar Prabhu just typed a question, so you can read that.
Okay. Maharaj, can you read the chat?
Yeah, but if Omkar is with us, he's with us. Like I said, I'd like to see them face to face. The people who are
Omkar,
asking questions and
Hare Krishna,
yeah,
Maharaj.
yeah.
Maharaj, my question is that in the spiritual world also, do we serve under spiritual master? And if yes, then is it that the kind of rasa we have with Krishna or relationship we have Krishna, the same relationship spiritual master has, or I don't know how to understand that. Will be, I know that will be serving under Prabhupada in spiritual world. Can you just elaborate more on this?
Yeah, well, we will always serve under superior guidance, whatever our rasa is. There will be superiors in that rasa who will be guiding us. But it is not necessarily so that all the disciples of a spiritual master will have the same rasa with Krishna as the spiritual master. But he will be there, and you know, the spiritual master is basically teaching us and training us how to please Krishna. I mean, that's what bhakti is, to please Krishna. And so when we are serving Krishna in our particular rasa, under our particular superiors, so that's also service to the spiritual master, because we're following his instruction and fulfilling his desire that we should please Krishna.
Yes.
But yeah, it doesn't mean that if my spiritual master is a cowherd boy, that I'm a cowherd boy, or if my spiritual master is a gopi, I'm a gopi. It's not like that. Yeah.
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Anyone else?
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
I'm Arjun Das speaking. Thank you, Maharaj, for your class. I have one small question. So my question is, sometimes I see in my life that I want to serve in a way that is pleasing to the other devotees, and it happens for some time. But what happens after that is maybe again the modes take over, or again there's some forgetfulness about the pleasure of other devotees, and again I may become self-centered. So again later there's again repentance, and again trying to serve in a way which is pleasing to others, and again the modes take over, and again I become self-centered. So how to overcome this cycle and always be in the right position of serving others?
Mm-hmm. Well, when you're in the right consciousness of wanting to serve and please the devotees, what brings you to that consciousness? And why can't you keep it?
Probably when I hear my spiritual master's lecture, or when I read Prabhupada books, so that time it opens my eyes to how I should be behaving with the other devotees. But gradually over time, I don't know what happens.
No, but that suggests that you stop listening and reading. So if you don't stop listening and reading, and we should never stop listening and reading, because we always need to be reminded, we always need to be convinced. So yeah, you shouldn't allow yourself to drift away from hearing and reading. Because as you yourself have said, the consequences are not good. You know, the consequences are bad. So that's what I would say. So when you chant, excuse me, when you hear lectures or read, I mean, do you have a fixed quantity of time that you spend hearing or reading, or do you have a fixed time in your schedule when you do it?
Yes, Maharaj. It's fixed. Like every day I read maybe 1 or 2 hours or hear for a couple of hours.
Oh, that's pretty good. So,
Yes.
so where's the question of the modes taking over?
But the only thing is, it so happens that sometimes I don't behave in a way that is pleasing to devotees, and then later I repent, and again I try, and again I forget after that, and so on.
So when you say not pleasing, you mean it's displeasing? It's displeasing to them?
Yes.
And then after you realize you've displeased them, do you apologize?
Yes.
And you still do it?
So
I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say. I mean, I used to have a habit, a sort of a bad habit. But whenever I would act according to that bad habit, I would apologize. And then eventually I thought, this is ridiculous, you know. I just keep doing the same thing, apologizing, doing the same thing, apologizing. So then I just stopped it. So I think you should just stop it. There's, you know, I don't want to bring this down to a mundane platform, but there's a little skit that involves Bob Newhart, who's an American comedian. And he plays a psychiatrist. And so a lady comes in to see him. And, you know, she basically tells him all her problems. And his answer to everything is stop it. Just stop it. So that's my only advice to you. Just stop it. Stop displeasing devotees. Just stop it.
yes, Maharaj. I'll try my best.
Okay.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
My name is Gagandeep Saini, and I'm from the Boston Temple.
Oh.
And thank you very much for the wonderful class today. And actually, in the temple these days, we are reading a book by Satsvarup Maharaj, and we're reading the part where there's letters written by Satsvarup Maharaj to Srila Prabhupada about you. It just happened like 3 days ago. And so it was very, I guess, fortunate for us to be, you know, coming face to face with you this way. I have a very basic question, and please forgive me for actually being stuck on something so basic and so maybe silly to most people. I'm trying to understand why Prahlada Maharaj said, I'd rather serve my guru, and because in my mind, the spiritual master is serving the Lord himself. And so I don't see the distinction between serving the guru or a devotee and the Lord, because in my mind, everybody's serving the Lord. So that's what I'm confused about, what this whole verse is about. So please forgive me if this is really dumb question.
No, it's a good question. I think the point is that if that one never gives up the service of the Guru, even if one is face to face with the Lord. And Prahlad was taking service to his Guru as a blessing. He wasn't taking it for granted. So he wanted that benediction that he can always serve his Guru. So we should also, devotional service is a privilege. We should never take it for granted. And service to the Guru is a privilege. So I think that's the idea, that he always remained grateful to his Guru. Not that he wasn't serving Krishna, of course he was serving Krishna, but he was always grateful to his Guru for enabling him to come to that position.
Okay. So gratitude, we just have to remember gratitude in our heart and approaching the Lord with gratitude to Guru always.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Anyone else?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I have a simple question. Can I ask?
Yes.
So any devotional service that we do, chanting, reading, listening to class, is that all service to Guru?
Yeah, yes. If it's according to his instructions, then it is service to Guru.
Okay.
In fact,
that's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
Yeah, Srila Prabhupada had a disciple named Vishnu Jan Swami. And Vishnu Jan Swami had a picture, he had a picture of Srila Prabhupada's ear. And he would chant to the picture of Srila Prabhupada's ear, because he was in that mood of chanting for the pleasure of the spiritual master.
Okay. So how do you, sorry, can I ask another question?
Yes.
So how do you know if you're serving the Guru or if you're serving Krishna? Like when I'm chanting, because I know that it pleases you if we chant or if we read or if we hear. So does that mean that I'm serving you or am I serving Krishna?
Both.
Okay.
It's not either or. Yes,
Okay.
both.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
I just wanted to add or comment based on Arjun Prabhu's question that some time ago I had read the Spiritual Warrior series of Bhakti Tirtha Swami, and he had mentioned in that you know our dealings with the devotees should be like we should always remember whenever we are dealing with devotees is that eternally we are going to be all serving together. So in the spiritual world, we will interact with them or see them. So do you want to have like hard feelings or anything carrying on over there? Not really. So always think of that. And so I meditated upon that for a while. And then I was like, in my interaction with devotees, even if I felt something or I felt like, oh, either that person is maybe annoyed with me or I'm annoyed with them, then I would think of eternity, and I would that problem or that difference will feel so little from point of eternity. So that always helps me.
Nice.
Thank you.
Where's Arjun?
My son's name is Arjun too.
Thank you, Mataji. I'm benefiting from your reading.
Arjun? Come back.
Yes, Maharaj.
Yeah, you better follow what Mataji says. Otherwise, when you meet her in the spiritual world, she's going to be upset.
Thank you.
Interesting.
Anyone else? Maharaj, I'm going to ask my question.
Okay.
Maharaj, in accordance with the verse you chose for today, and in accordance with your lecture, I have it in my mind two situations. The first one is chanting, dancing, and feasting, the easy process of Krishna consciousness. And then side by side with the easy process, we have the verse and the purpose you chose for today. So many rules, so many regulations, how to deal. If we want to serve Krishna, we need to consider the position of the spiritual master. So my question is, if a neophyte devotee or a materialistic person, an atheist, comes to you to confront you with these two aspects of the Krishna conscious process, what would you respond? People may come to you with indignation. What are the Hare Krishnas doing? First, they present themselves with the easy process, but behind the easy process, so much difficulty is there. What would you respond in order to convince this person that everything in Krishna consciousness is joyful?
Well, it's true that someone may come with bad habits, but if they chant and dance and take prasad, they'll be purified, and then it won't be hard to give up those bad habits. I mean, most of us, I think even in India, but definitely in the West, had bad habits when we came. But by chanting and dancing and taking prasad, we were able to give up the bad habits. It wasn't that hard. Getting up early in the morning, that might take a little practice. But once you're used to it, then you like it. You wouldn't want to sleep late. And even from the medical point of view or Ayurvedic point of view, I had a very excellent Ayurvedic doctor, Vaidya Ramakant Mishra. He went completely by the Shastra, and he said it's very bad to sleep through the morning sandhya. That means sunrise and say 24 minutes before sunrise and 24 minutes after sunrise, and the evening sandhya. So when he told me that, of course we avoid that. But when he told me that, I asked him, well, what's the effect if you do? And he said, the effect is that you become affected by tamagun. And although he did say that, by chanting, you can dispel the influence of the tamagun. But the effect of sleeping through sunrise is you become affected by tamagun. So, yeah, but other than getting up early in the morning, I don't really see any of the principles to be very difficult. And if you chant and dance and take prasad, they become easy. But is there something you have in mind in particular?
No, Maharaj, your answer please me the most. Thank you very much.
Oh, good. Good. I pleased the Vaishnav. My path to success is open.
Mine too. I hope.
All right. So if there are no more questions, then I would suggest, in the mood of the verse, we could end by singing the Nishinga prayers.
Yes.
It's always good to please Lord Nishingadev.
Yeah.
And then
before we chant the Nursing Praise, Maharaj, I would like to take this opportunity on behalf of entire ISKCON Boston. I would like to express my deepest gratitude to you, Maharaj, for accepting our request. I know there was some misunderstanding, but again, you could somehow give your time. We are greatly indebted to you. Thank you, Maharaj. It's my on behalf of entire ISKCON Boston. Please accept our gratitude. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Now we can chant. Yes.
Namaste Narasingaya. I suggest, because there's a little delay, I suggest we mute everyone. Yeah. I mean, it's nice that you're singing, but yeah, because of the delay, it doesn't work if you're unmuted. Okay, we begin again. Namaste Narasingaya.
Namaste.
Vanamali Pandit, can you mute everyone?
Yes, Maharaj, I muted everyone.
Okay. I appreciate your enthusiasm. Namaste Narasingaya. Namaste Narasingaya. Prahlada Lada Daine. Hiranyakashipu Vakshaha. Shila Tankana Kalaye. Ito Nashinga Parato Nashingo. Yato Yami Tato Nashinga. Bahir Nishingo Hridaye Nishingo Nishingamadhyam Sharanam Prapadye Navakara Kamala Varenakam Adhuta Shringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringam Keshavajita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Tavakara Kamala Varena Kamaduta Shringa Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubingam Keshavajita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jaya Nishinghade, Jaya Nishinghade, Nishinghade, Jaya Nishinghade. Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj. Shinga Bhagavan ki jai, Prahlad Maharaj ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitya Gaur Premanande. Now let us offer our respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, who are just like desire trees, who can fulfill the desires of everyone. and are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Vanchakalpa Trubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Tatitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. So thank you for joining us. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to your service to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna
Thank you.
Maharaj.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you.